She did everything right. Engaged in class, made good grades, graduated high school, and got a 4-year degree. And now she's here, stuck in the wrong job with little passion, crushing student loan debt, and no clear path forward. She never aligned her education with her interests and her passions. She never had that light bulb moment. Not exactly a dream come true for her or her employers. But what if there was another way? Let's imagine her back in middle school, curious and open. She hears professionals speak at her school and visits different companies to see real work in action. She uncovers new careers and sees women who look like her. Employers open their doors and enable her to learn more about their industries through camps and competitions. That's when it happened, that light bulb moment. She builds on these real-world experiences in high school through job shadowing and paid internships. Because she has found something she loves, she has her choice between a 4-year degree or an apprenticeship where she can work and further her education. She graduates and finds employment in an industry she knows is a great fit. She's well-trained and has the hard and soft skills needed to succeed now and in the future. She's happy, her employer is happy. Imagine experiencing more. The equation is pretty simple, really. When employers connect with educators to connect to their future workforce, new paths are paved, and that changes everything. Students plus educators plus employers working together towards a common goal adds up to a workforce with purpose. Help us create real-world learning for real-life success. Experience more. ncbce.org.
Hello, my name is Kaya Edwards, and I serve as the Program Manager for the North Carolina Business Committee for Education, or NCBCE. We are the education nonprofit that is housed in the Office of the Governor in Raleigh, North Carolina, and our primary goal is to connect employers to students and job seekers through work-based learning initiatives. At any given time, our office can have over 8 different initiatives running, and I'll share a little bit of information with you about them today. First is Students at Work. Students at Work is our month-long job shadowing program for middle school students that takes place during the month of March. We have dozens of businesses that partner with our office in order to provide worksite tours and serve as guest speakers for students who are interested in learning more about different careers within their communities. Next is Teachers at Work. This is a teacher externship program for educators who are interested in learning more about some of the skills that employers are looking for in the 21st century. Educators have the opportunity to visit work sites for 3 to 5 days and learn about how employers are getting engaged in communities and how they can better integrate the workforce skills into their classroom curriculum. Next is Link It. This is an internship program for individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Next is the Governor's Educator Discovery Award. This is a $1,000 stipend awarded to educators who are interested in pursuing professional development opportunities, including conferences or additional certifications. Next is the Navigator. And finally is Ready, Set, App. Ready, Set, App is a mobile app development competition for high school students, and we charge them to develop an app to solve a problem in their school or community. We are also working with the Hometown Strong initiative, as well as dozens of other businesses and organizations in order to provide broadband connectivity solutions for students across the state. Our current pilot counties are Edgecombe, Halifax, Hyde, Robeson, and Swain, and our goal is to provide that rural access that these students are missing in order to promote remote learning during COVID. Now on to the Navigator. The Navigator is the state's first free tool that both promotes and measures work-based learning activity across the state. We launched the Navigator in partnership with Fidelity in December of 2018, and we are still currently working to ensure that the platform is meeting the goals that employers and educators have to address their work-based learning workforce needs. The Navigator makes work-based learning more accessible and equitable, which is extremely important in a state like North Carolina, where we have a large number of rural counties. I would also like to introduce you to our team. Caroline Sullivan, Executive Director, Morgan Crawford, Finance and Operations Director, and Olivia Comer, Communications and Marketing Specialist. We are happy to conduct webinars or provide one-to-one support on how to use the Navigator tool and get employers and educators engaged. If you ever have any questions, please connect with our office and we'll answer you as soon as possible. Next, I would like to transition to Mrs. Debra Brown, who serves as the Associate Director of the Explorer School in Raleigh, North Carolina. Mrs. Brown is a champion of the Navigator and quite frequently speaks to the importance of the tool and how educators can easily integrate it into the classroom. I want to give her the time to speak about the Navigator and provide any feedback that she may have that may be beneficial to this group. Debra?
Hello, everyone. My name is Debra Brown, and I'm very excited this afternoon to take you through some of the new features from our Navigator tool from NCBC. I am a North Carolina classroom teacher and currently working as an associate director at the Explorer School in downtown Raleigh. And I can't tell you how many times we go to make community connections for our students and have this struggle where you're saying, I'd really like to reach out to some of the business organizations, some of the folks in our community, but how do we even begin to do that? Navigator is an amazing tool that helps make those connections as simple as just a few clicks for educators and for the business community. We hear a lot these days about the idea of work-based learning, and we know that there's a lot of value in this for both our students, our families, and for the business community. This idea of driving our education around work, real-world work experiences creates those connections, that relevancy to the classroom learning. Helps kids figure out early on the kinds of careers that they might be interested in, which really helps people not spend a lot of money going down a career path that they may find out later on really isn't what they're interested in. It gives that relevance for the education where students start to make those connections. In education, we're always telling students in the classroom that you're going to need this once you get out into the quote-unquote real world. Work-based learning opportunities give students the opportunity to experience those real-world connections early on, and that helps them really invest in their education while they're with you in the classroom. We also know that our employers find that students who have these experiences are better job seekers. They're actually better prepared for the things that they will find on the job, and that does make them more attractive to our employers. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about how Navigator works. If you've ever, let's say, for example, I want to do a lesson with my students on teaching argumentation in writing. I think, wouldn't it be great to have a guest speaker who deals with arguing or argumentation all the time? And I'd really love to find a local attorney or maybe one of our district judges who might be willing to come in and talk to my students. Before this tool, I would have to do all of that myself as sort of a cold call. I'd have to depend on having a connection of some kind, or I'd have to just start Googling and making calls to people, hoping that I might find someone. What Navigator does is give a shopping cart for teachers to be able to go and see, these are the things that I'm looking for, and to make these connections with business leaders who have already signed up and said, here are the ways that we would like to help support tools in education and provide opportunities for our students.
Thank you, Debra, for sharing the educator perspective on the Navigator. Now I would like to transition to Leslie Walden, who serves as the Vice President for Regional Public Affairs for Fidelity Investments. Leslie's going to provide the employer's perspective on why the Navigator is an important tool. Leslie?
Hello, I'm Leslie Walden, Public Affairs Lead for Fidelity Investments in North Carolina. I'd like to start with a thank you to educators across the state who are working every day in support of our students. As a representative of a major employer and as a parent, thank you. You're listening to me because my company uses the Navigator, the online marketplace that connects educators with corporate volunteers and experiences to support work-based learning. Career development at Fidelity is often broken down into the 3 E's: education, exposure, and experience. In North Carolina, we're fortunate to have an amazing offering of career and technical education in our schools. But employers also have a role to play in helping educators provide exposure to careers and real-world experience that helps students get jobs. But like most companies, the resources we have to offer are typically focused where our employees live and work. How can nearly 100 educators across the state of North Carolina find out about and access all that we have to offer? And how can we meet more students and teachers to help build our talent pipeline for the future? That's why we're on the Navigator. I like to think of the Navigator as an online marketplace. In fact, it's set up like an online retail experience like Amazon or Netflix, where educators can literally shop for what they need from employers like us to help drive work-based learning for their students. Need a video on careers in financial services? It's there. Want an employee to talk to students about what steps are necessary to get a job? Teachers can request us. Want students to know how important it is to keep a credit score intact for job searches? Our employee volunteers are available. The Navigator is an educator's one-stop shop to access all of this. And these days it feels like remote learning and virtual learning is here to stay for a while in some form or fashion, which makes the Navigator a more important resource than ever. We're all working more virtually right now, so videos, curriculum, virtual volunteering resources, they're all in demand, and it's all on the Navigator. Not just from Fidelity. Biosciences companies have science and chemistry resources. Technology companies and healthcare organizations are making their expertise available. We're all here ready to help. That's what Fidelity loves about the Navigator. Educators are in the driver's seat, searching for and finding what they need from us. And employers are doing their part to provide the exposure to careers and real-world experiences. Educators and employers working together to help their students prepare to enter the career pipeline for the future. I mean, that's a winning combination for students and for our state. So on behalf of the employee volunteers at Fidelity Investments, thanks for listening, and come see us.
Thank you, Leslie. Now we're going to transition to the actual Navigator demo. It is important for employers to be able to engage with students and communities in order to highlight their work as well as reduce costs that's related to churn, onboarding, and increase their productivity. The process to sign on as a business is easy. All you have to do is complete the organization sign-up form and indicate which work-based learning opportunities you're interested in engaging in. We do have a validation process that takes up to 24 to 48 hours, and this is to ensure that the business is both legitimate and able to execute the opportunities that they have indicated. If a business has questions about how to engage in some of these high-quality opportunities, we do provide toolkits as well as step-by-step engagement on how to provide high-quality work-based learning opportunities for the students. Once the organization has been validated, they are introduced to their company dashboard, where they can create a resource, add employees, or update their company's data if needed. Adding employees is the fun part because you're free to invite as many individuals onto the platform as you would like. And the validation process is already taken care of because the primary administrator has already set the presence of the organization on the site. Now think of adding employees kind of like a hierarchical structure. There are two roles that you can give an individual on the platform. They can either be a business user or an admin. If an individual is given admin purposes, they are able to change any of the company data that you've indicated before, and they're also able to invite additional people. I'll use NCBCE because we are a small organization as an example. In our case, our executive director has the primary admin capability. She's able to invite us onto the site, and we do not necessarily need to make any updates to the company data. However, if you're a larger company that has multiple sectors or branches, you may be interested in establishing a primary administrator who will invite heads of each department to serve as the administrator for their department, who will then invite business users within their individual sectors. And this just creates the organization or makes the organization a little bit easier for the company. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to our office and we'll be happy to help you. Now, creating a resource is simple. Before, when you've indicated the available resources that your company would like to offer, that information auto-populates onto the resource page, and you'll be then given a drop-down menu of everything that you've indicated so that you can create the resource card. You select the resource you would like to create, tap Create New, and then you're introduced to a blank template. You first indicate your resource name and the description. And the description is important because you want to include some of those key words that your organization uses each day. If you're a financial company, be sure to include finance in your keywords. An educator may be looking for financial literacy, and if they're searching by keyword, more than likely they'll type in the word finance or financial literacy, and you'll be one of the first resources to pop up. Next is career cluster, target audience, who was it intended for, capacity, how many students can you accommodate, and the delivery mechanism. Are you going to the students? Are the students coming to you, or is it virtual? For virtual opportunities, we encourage you to use platforms such as Skype, Zoom, and Google Hangouts in order to connect with the students face-to-face. If you have resources such as PDF files, toolkits, handbooks, whatever have you, you're also able to add those to the Supplemental Resources tab that says Display Name of Resource File to Attach. You name the file, add the PDF or toolkit that you're selecting, and then you're able to upload that as a resource as well. In this case, you're not necessarily connecting with the educator directly in order to provide a person-to-person opportunity. Instead, you're still giving students the ability to learn more about your organization or business through some of the materials that you've already created. The best part of the Navigator is the type of data that it is able to collect. We're able to track the number of engagement, the breakdown of the types of work-based learning, the breakdown of engagements from teacher to school, as well as the number of students who are participating in face-to-face work-based learning. And this is extremely critical when we're looking at workforce development numbers and how engaged are students with the employers within their community. Now, how was the Navigator data used? We are able to assess the gaps in work-based learning and promote work-based learning for underrepresented populations. As I mentioned before, this tool is free, which makes work-based learning both accessible and equitable for students, especially in rural communities. And we work diligently to ensure that employers are represented within each county. And it also allows employers to connect with new talent. As I mentioned, employers who are able to invest in communities beginning as early as middle school are able to develop their own talent pipeline and have their ideal workforce. Now, how does the Navigator data improve statewide work-based learning? When we pull reports from the Navigator, we're able to determine which counties are not being engaged. Through this information, we're able to connect with workforce development boards, as well as educators and superintendents, to ensure that we're doing our due diligence to make the Navigator an integral tool within their community. In addition, employers are able to connect with new talent, and it allows them to invest in these students in their communities in order to design their ideal workforce. Quite regularly, we ask for educator feedback. On our last survey, we asked, what features do you value most on the Navigator? And the most common answer was simply being able to connect with businesses. Businesses may not realize the importance or the value that they have within these communities and being able to connect with students. But businesses and employers are able to leave a lasting impact on these students who may not have even heard of the career that they're being exposed to. And that is what the Navigator is all about, making work-based learning an attainable goal for all students across North Carolina. This concludes our Navigator demo. Thank you, Leslie Walden and Debra Brown, for sharing the importance of the tool for both employers and educators. As I mentioned before, if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with our team, and we'll be happy to assist you with recorded webinars or one-to-one support on how to effectively use the tool. I would also like to share with you 2 upcoming events. One is a speaker series in partnership with North Carolina Virtual Schools. We are working to provide career awareness through recorded sessions with industry professionals highlighting different careers for students. We are also hosting a remote learning conference that will take place on August 6th, featuring topics related to how to make remote learning more effective for students across North Carolina. If you have any questions about either of these, please connect with our office and we'll be happy to provide more information. Thank you for your time and all you do for students across North Carolina. Goodbye.